Okay, so we are live. Lee Cool and we are hosting a SaaS founder interview live in the SaaS Founders Facebook group. Lee, great to meet you. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you're doing?
Yeah, Peter, thanks for having me. And by the way, thank you for letting me in the group. I love it. Have received a lot of value from it from your members so far. So thank you to you and the community you've built there. But hey, everybody, I'm Lee with a company called Smart Church Solutions. We focus on assisting churches be more efficient with their facility so that they can keep doing ministry in their buildings. We got started about 13 years ago as a company, and the product we offer that is a SaaS-based product is called eSpace.
Cool. Okay. How did you get started with that, Lee? How did you start this business?
Yeah, so my father actually was the initial founder who kind of started it, and I came on a little later to take it past the edge of where it was taken to initially. But basically, my father came from a background of 30 years of building churches, and he has a very big construction background, really had no business getting into software, but he did anyway, which was very admirable. But kind of through that process, he realized that churches were doing a very poor job at taking care of their buildings after they were constructed. So the reason he built eSpace was to help them further manage it after the construction process, keep up with preventative maintenance, tracking their assets, streamlining work orders and events, and all of the big things that really go on in a commercial facility that a lot of churches fail to realize.
Right, so it's more the facilities management side of the church building and operations. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, great. Wow. Okay. So it sounds like you have a few different offerings within the platform or services. How do you break those down?
Yeah, so there's really two main modules of eSpace is you have the work order and asset management piece, and then you have the piece for scheduling events. And we allow it to kind of be a la carte in our pricing. So you can choose one or the other, and then branched off to those, there's even more offerings, which one of the lessons we've learned now is actually we're hiring a pricing consultant to help us kind of figure out everything a little more streamlined. But in essence, we have IoT integrations to tie in with HVAC and doors, lights, and digital signage. So like if a church approves an event on the calendar, it can automate their whole building. And then we also have like barcoding and being able to integrate with those kind of components and QR codes kind of from like an asset management point of view. So there's a lot of little pieces that branch off for those two main sections of the software.
Yeah, wow. So it definitely does a lot there, right? And your category of software, it could be applied to any kind of building space, right? Office office buildings, things like that, right? But you have this focus based on your dad's background, right? So he saw the opportunity there, so you have that focus in there. How has it been different building this business, having the focus of churches? I mean, as opposed to whether you were in any other facilities management industry?
It's been that's a great question. I mean, it's really been a different type of animal. And churches are excellent to work with. There's a lot of different types of churches out there, though. So there's 367,000 churches in the US alone, which is where we're located. And within those, we probably have about 30,000 that are our prospective clients. So about less than 10%. There are some churches that are a little too small to afford what we offer, and some that are at a place where they really need it. But we also do serve a lot of one-off industries as well. Like we have the biggest walnut factory in Australia, museums, car washes, restaurants, a lot of other, and universities, especially a lot of other industries that have floated towards the product. And that's kind of, and we've also been able to establish white label agreements. We have one in the public school space that does fairly well. And we're looking to expand into the colleges and university space, more specifically tailored for them too. So it's kind of been a journey of starting where we're at, but I want kind of having the vision to branch it out to be something much larger than what it is.
Wow, cool. Okay, so you I think white labeling is a really good way because you have your position, your industry where your website and your product is kind of positioned for that industry, but white labeling opens up the product to all of the different types of facilities management you could have out there. So that sounds like a really good route to market for you for scale. What's your specific role, Lee? What have you been mostly involved in yourself since you've been in business?
Yeah, I lead the sales and marketing teams. So, I mean, really anything related to revenue, but it's also my title is starting to shift into kind of director of engagement more or less prior to, because we kind of have where our CTO and both myself will kind of co-manage the support and customer success and those pieces to it. So it's starting to revolve in that a little bit, but primarily my bread and butter is marketing and sales and customer acquisition.
And can you tell us a little bit about the model, how that works for you, what your sales process looks like, and how you acquire a new customer and then bring them on board?
Yeah, I'm so kind of starting with the acquisitions piece of attracting their attention to us. We do all inbound sales right now. So we don't do anything outbound. It's all marketing driven sales. And we have a lot of strategies in place to acquire those customers. So we have a blog that goes out every week and a newsletter with an email. We have a free resource that we create every quarter, free download, ebook, checklist, whatever that is. We have biweekly webinars, again, just to provide value to our community and teach people, as well as a biannual virtual conference that we host. So lots of free resources. We really believe that you need to start with giving value and develop trust. And then if you continue to provide value, let it be through conditional drip campaigns, through adding them to certain lists or segmentations, that they will be able to see the value. And a lot of what we're doing, especially for churches, is we're not just providing a software, but we're helping them change their way of thinking and their paradigm as to, hey, we could do this with pen and paper, where really there's a more efficient way to do it. Welcome to the 21st century. And a lot of it is having to teach them before our product is even a part of the question.
Right.
So I think we've done a pretty successful job at teaching. And then when it comes to the sale at that point, it's really just trying to solve their problems and listening and making sure that our product is actually a decent fit for them and that they're a decent fit for us. And then if it works out, usually the sale is relatively seamless at that point.
I see. So do you have a demo kind of process? Is it a quite an engaging sales process where you're educating and providing a demo, then training them on the software? I imagine your users are not probably that familiar or really tech savvy in using software in general. Is that a correct assumption?
You hit the nail on the head. So one of the things we did 5 years ago is we had free trials. We figured out we would close about 20% of those free trials. We weren't happy with that. And then we removed the free trial. You can no longer have that. You have to go through a demo process now that's very engaged with the sales rep. We now have anywhere between 50 to 70% close rate of those demos. So we've seen a significant jump in our trial rate, or the amount of engagements or conversions on our website. Hitting that call to action has not changed since we did that. In fact, it's gone up a little bit. So we've actually learned that our industry likes to be handheld a little bit, and they like to be walked through things, where in some industries that's not quite the case. They want to do their own independent research, and we still have lots of resources online and on YouTube and different channels for them if they didn't want to engage with sales, that they could find out how the product works. But just as you said, our process is very involved, as it can be.
Yeah, great. Oh, well, it's good to see, what drives the choice of sales process, right? And it sounds like your prospects need that little extra attention, that little a bit more, education, hand holding to get them to understand the product and get them to give it a try, right?
Yep.
So maybe there's a little apprehension around that, and maybe they're not familiar with free trials, taking free trials, and becoming self-sufficient with software. So it makes sense that you've gone on that road. Is there anything else that you've done that's really helped in the user acquisition, whether that be on the marketing side of raising awareness or converting some more of these prospects?
I'd say from a conversion point of view, and we do a lot of free stuff, but we started our first ever user conference. So we do conferences to provide value, and we do that biannually, but we had our first ever eSpace product user conference last year. And we noticed 25, and we actually sold tickets. It wasn't free. So it was $60 for the day. And people were actually paying us to basically see a demo of our product at that point. And it was a 2-day workshop, very involved, but we acquired, I want to say out of the people who weren't subscribers, there's like 25% of attendees weren't even using the product. And we converted like 30% of that 25%. So it was really amazing to see, okay, we're adding this value and then having a very big event that they're paying to attend. So they're invested into it, they're emotionally bought in, and then being able to show them the value in a very practical sense. It did excellent for conversions. And also the bi-weekly webinars, being able to engage and talk, encourage to let people chime in has been very effective for us too.
Yeah, hey, that's really awesome. What kind of topics were these workshops that you run? What kind of topics would you host for that?
Yeah, everything. And it's not even related to our product half the time. So it's best practices of what you should do for preventative maintenance. And what I tell people is we have the tool, but I can go buy the best chainsaw in the world, but if I don't know how to use it, I'm not going to get anything done. So what we kind of have is like the instruction manual in these webinars where it's like, here's the things you need to do to keep up with your building. Oh, and by the way, if you're looking for a way to streamline that, we offer that. But we'll also talk about like how you should staff your church. Like for national averages, you should have one full-time employee for general maintenance for every 35,000 square feet. And we get into a lot of the numbers and dirty details. It's just education, whether they buy our product or not. Our ministry and what we want to do is simply to provide value.
Yeah, I love it. So you do a lot of free content. You run workshops. Workshops also help convert non-users. You provide demos of the software, and so you have this. You have quite an active model for attraction and then conversion for your user acquisition. It sounds really great. Lee, how can people check out more about you and the product? Where can they go on to take a look?
Yeah, I think for SaaS founders, it may be interesting from a marketing perspective. If you go on our website, it's smartchurchsolutions.com. And though you're probably not going to buy our product, what I would encourage you to get a peek of is we have a very deep and detailed drip campaign sequence based on website activity, what you download, all that stuff. Just go download a free resource. And if you want to get an idea of some email copy and I guess how the conditional logic is set up, kind of reading your behavior to tailor advice towards you, I'm happy to answer questions about that, how we set it up for our industry. That's also been something really powerful for the reconversion of free value to a paying customers, those kind of reminders. But
yeah, that's great. And I know other SaaS founders are always interested in the drip campaigns and these marketing campaigns and what works and what draws prospects in to check out the product, book a demo or take a free trial. So that would be really nice, really neat for other people to see. So that's Smart Church Solutions. Lee, thanks so much for joining us. It's been really good to talk with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Peter. I appreciate it.
Awesome. You're welcome. We'll see you around.